Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our performance of 12 Angry Jurors. The original title is, of course, 12 Angry Men, but we have women in this cast as well, so we're going to go with 12 Angry Jurors. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to get going. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You all have heard a long and complex case, ladies and gentlemen, and it is now your duty to sit down to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. Another man's life is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your mind, then you must declare him not guilty. However, if there is no reasonable doubt, then you must find him guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict has to be unanimous. I urge you all to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Poor kid doesn't stand a chance.
The jury will now retire.
Chewing gum? Gum?
Thanks, but no.
You know something?
I know lots of things. I'm in advertising.
You know, it's kind of hot.
I never would have known that if she hadn't told me. Would you?
No, I guess I kind of forgotten.
All I've done all day is sweat.
I bet you aren't sweating like that kid who was just tried.
You think they could at least air condition the place? I almost dropped dead in court.
My taxes are high enough. Thank you.
This should go fast anyways.
It sure is hotter than the city summer.
All right. It looks like everyone's here. If anyone needs anything, I'll be on the other side of the store. Just knock.
Did he lock that door?
Yes. Yes, he did.
What do they think we are, crooks?
They locked us up for a little while.
And then they locked that kid up forever, and that's okay by me.
I never knew they did that.
Sure, they locked the door. What did you expect?
I just didn't know. It never occurred to me.
Shall we admit right now that it's hot and humid and our tempers are bound to get short?
It has been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
I wonder how things are going down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, my job could be gone. The whole company, too. I tell you what, they aren't going to like this.
Well, figure this is our duty.
I didn't object to doing my duty. I simply stated that I might not have a job by the time I get back.
You can ask her to hire you. She's rich. Look at this suit.
Is it custom tailored?
Yes. Yes, it is.
My uncle was a tailor.
How's he do?
Not very well. You know, a friend of my uncle who's a tailor, the friend that wanted to sit on this jury in my place.
Why didn't you let him? I would have done anything to miss this.
And get caught? You know what kind of fines they'll make you pay for doing something like that? Besides, he was on a jury about, I I want to say over 10 years ago. But it was for murder as well. They let him off for reasonable doubt.
And what became of it?
Well, I mean, rumor has it that he really did do the murders and they let a guilty man free.
Did they get him?
Well, he couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be tried twice for the same crime. That'd be holding him in double jeopardy. Unless there's a hung jury, you can't do it again.
Well, that isn't going to happen here.
Yeah. 6 days. They could have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Have you ever heard so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, I suppose you can't say anything against it.
How'd you like that business about the knife? Have you ever heard a phonier story?
Look, we know who they're dealing with. It's just what you gotta expect.
He bought a switch knife that night.
And then he lost it.
A hole in his pocket?
A hole in his father.
An awful way to kill your father. Knife
Look.
in his chest.
Okay, we know the type of people that they are. It's what you gotta expect.
Excuse me, but there are better proofs in this case than some emotion you may have. Perhaps a dislike for a certain group?
Come on now. We all agreed that it was hot.
Yes, and that our tempers would be short.
If we're all settled now, suppose we should start?
Right? This better be quick. I've got 2 tickets to Frozen on Ice, and I feel like I'm the only person in the world who hasn't seen it. All right, Your Honor, let's start the show.
Let's all take a seat. Gentlemen at the window, care to sit down?
Oh, sorry.
Look, it's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father, bang, just like that. Well, it's the element. They let their kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
Can we just get started, please?
Sure. I mean, we can handle this any way you want. I mean, I'm not going to make the rules. We can either discuss this for a little bit and vote later, or we can vote now and see where we all stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Let's vote. Anybody who doesn't want to vote?
That was easy.
Everyone voting guilty, raise your hand. Anyone voting not guilty, raise your hand.
Hey, you're in left field!
Well, the vote is 11-1 in favor of guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really think he's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days in court, you still don't know?
In 6 days I could learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't think that it is as simple as ABC.
Look, what is there about this case that could convince you this kid isn't guilty?
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid.
Look, I agree with you that the kid is guilty, but let's try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
They proved it to you a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe that stupid story he told?
I don't know whether I believe it or not.
So why'd you vote not guilty?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without at least talking about it first.
Who said it was easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
He's still just as guilty whether this is an easy vote or not.
Is there a problem because we voted fast?
Not necessarily.
Look, I think the kid's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if we talked about this for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind.
Just what are you thinking of?
I just want to talk for a while. Look, this boy, he's been kicked around all of his life. You all know, living in the slums, his mother dead since he was 9 years old. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough and an angry kid. And you know why slum kids get that way? Because we knock him around once a day, every day. I just think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
Look, it's hard. Sure, It was hard for me. Everything I have, I fought for. I worked my way through college.
I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
I've been kicked around too. Just wait till you work in advertising and the man who buys all the ads walks in. We all know.
In my country, in Europe, kicking was a science. I would hope that we could find something better here.
Okay. Look, mister, we don't owe the kid a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? And look, do you even know how much that trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Also, we're all grown-ups here, so you best not be telling us that we're supposed to believe him knowing what he is. Trust me, I lived among them all my life. You can't trust a word that they say. You know that.
Hey, I don't know that. When did dishonesty become a group characteristic?
All right.
Got no monopoly on truth.
We don't need a sermon.
Hey, what this lady's saying is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for behaving like this. I think we ought to behave like proper people.
Right?
All right. If you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
If we're going to discuss this case, why, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a very good point. We have a job to do.
If no one minds, I am going to close the window. It was blowing on my neck.
Could you keep that window open, please?
But it was blowing on me.
Don't you want a little cool air? It's hot, it's summer.
I was very uncomfortable.
Look, there are 12 of us in this room. Only one window. Could you open it, please?
I have some rights too.
So do all of us.
Couldn't you just trade chairs with someone on the other end of the table?
All right, I will open the window if someone would trade.
Take my seat.
Thank you.
Are we done with that now? Is everyone settled? Okay, let's get back to the case.
I may have an idea here, folks. Why don't we go around the table one by one and convince this gentleman to come to our side, since he's the only one.
Sounds fair enough.
That sounds very fair. Who shall we start with?
Let's go in order. So, juror number 2, we'll start with you.
Oh, well, I just thought he was guilty. Thought that was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
Well, but no one proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. He doesn't even have to open up his mouth. That's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You have heard of it.
Everyone has heard of that.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. I just... Look, I just think he's guilty.
No reasons. Just guilty. There is a life at stake here.
All right, let's get to the facts. Number 1, let's take the old man who lived on the 2nd floor right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes to 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises coming from the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. He said he heard the boy say to his father, "I'm going to kill you," and heard a body falling a second later. He ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the boy running downstairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And when did the coroner fix the time of death?
Around midnight.
Now, if that isn't enough for you.
Something doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's entire story doesn't seem to fit. He claims he was at the movies. It's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember the name of the picture that he saw.
That's right. Did you hear that? You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and he didn't have any ticket stub.
Well, who keeps a ticket stub after a movie?
Oh, that's true enough.
Well, I suppose, but the cashier didn't remember him.
The ticker taker didn't either.
Okay, look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She witnessed the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
No. Wait a minute. Okay, look. Here's this woman who can't sleep. It's hot, you know? Okay. Anyway, she gets up and looks across the street and sees the kid stick the knife into his father.
How can she really be sure it was the kid that she saw when it was through the windows of a passing elevated train?
She's known the kid all of her life, and her window is right opposite his. So she also swore in court that she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay. And they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing elevated train and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you just telling us a minute or two ago that you can't trust them? That you can't believe them?
So?
How come you believe her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
You're pretty smart, fella.
Hey, now take it easy.
Come on, what are you letting him get you all worked up for? Relax.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, they took us out to the woman's apartment and we looked through the windows of a moving elevated train, didn't we?
We did?
And couldn't you see what happened on the other side?
I did not see as well as they told me I would see, but I did see what happened on the other side.
Madam Foreman, can we go back in order, please?
Let's see, who are we on? Juror number 5.
I'll pass it.
All right, that's your right. Then juror number 6.
I don't know. I mean, I started to be convinced. I mean, the story from those people across the hall, didn't they say something about an argument between the boy and the father around 7 o'clock, was it? I could be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right. It was 8 o'clock.
Right. They heard the father hit the boy, and then they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
What does that prove?
Oh, well, it doesn't really prove anything. It's just part of the big picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Who's next? Let's see, you.
Look, I think everything's been pretty much said already. I think we're just wasting our time.
I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Okay, look at the kid's record, okay? He was arrested for mugging, he stole a car, and didn't they say that he stabbed someone in the arm?
Yes, they did.
Okay, he was picked up for knife fighting, and at 15 he was in reform school.
And they sent him to reform school for stabbing someone.
What a nice, fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So would I on a kid like that?
It's the kids, you know, the way they are. They don't listen. I've got a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I told him right out, I'm gonna make a man out of you or I'm gonna bust you up into little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him in 3 years. Rotten kids. I hate tough kids. I mean, you work your heart out. Well, you know.
We're missing the point here. This kid, let's say he's the product of a broken home in a filthy neighborhood. We can't help that. We're not here to discuss the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. You know it, so do I. The kids who come from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of them.
I've lived in a slum all my life.
Oh, wait a minute.
I used to play in a backyard full of garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now let's be reasonable. It's nothing personal.
There is something personal. Come on, let's not be so sensitive.
This sensitivity I understand.
Now let's stop bickering and get back to the case.
We're wasting time.
Okay, let's see. Juror number 8, it's your turn.
Well, I always had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow, I felt like the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. There are too many questions that were never asked.
While it does not change my opinion on the guilt of the kid, I must agree with you there. The defense counsel was very bad.
So,
That is the point.
what about facts?
There are so many questions that were never answered.
But what about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's take that cute little switch knife. You know, the one that fine, upright boy admitted buying.
Let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again. Miss Foreman?
I don't see why we have to look at it again. I mean, we all know what it looks like. What do you think?
The gentleman has a right to see exhibits and evidence.
Okay with me.
This knife, it's a very strong piece of evidence. Wouldn't you agree?
I would.
Good. Now let's get the sequence of events right as they relate to the switch knife, shall we?
The boy missed leaving his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. He claims that he went to a neighborhood store, bought the switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
It's a pretty unusual knife. Do we all agree on that?
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Pretty hard to forget something like that.
Indeed. He then claims that he went to the movies. On the way home, the knife fell through a hole in his pocket and he never saw it again. Now there's a story. You know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home, went to the house, stabbed his father with it, and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints.
That's it.
Take a look at that knife. I'd never seen one like it before in my life. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Now, are you trying to convince me that somebody went down the street, picked up the knife, went to the boy's house, stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying it's possible that the boy did lose the knife and somebody else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life. Everyone identified that knife. Now, are you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept anything. I'm just saying that it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, what is this? Who do you think you are?
Look at it. It's the same knife.
I got it at a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. It cost $2.
Now you listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a pretty smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. What if there are 10 knives like that? So what?
Maybe there are 10 knives like that.
The boy lied, and you know it.
Maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife. Maybe he did go to the movies. Maybe the reason that nobody saw him at the movies was because he snuck into the movies. Maybe he was too ashamed to say so in court. Is there anyone here who didn't sneak into the movies once or twice when they were young?
I didn't.
Really? Not even once?
We didn't have movies.
Oh.
Maybe the boy did lie. Maybe he did. Do you think he lied?
Now that's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
Do you think he lied?
You don't have to ask me that question. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I don't know.
Oh, just a minute. What are you? The kid's lawyer? Look, 11 of us find him guilty. You're alone. What exactly are you trying to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, the kid will be tried again and found just as guilty.
You're probably right.
So what do you want? We could be here all night.
Hey, it's only one night, sweetheart. Plus, the boy may die.
Come on now.
That's right.
Look, you haven't presented one real fact here yet that backs up a not guilty verdict. What about the old man downstairs? He heard it. He heard the kid shriek it out.
The woman across the L tracks. She saw it.
Yes, we know he bought the switch knife that night. Where was he? At the movies?
Earlier that night, the kid and his father did have a fight.
He's been a violent kid all the way, and while that doesn't prove anything...
I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for a vote. I want you 11 to vote by secret ballot and I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, we'll take it into the judge right now. I will not stand alone.
Okay, let's do it.
That sounds fair. Does everyone agree?
That seems very fair.
It's rolling.
Perhaps this is for the best.
All right. Everyone take a ballot and pass it around. Right, are all the ballots in? Let's see what it is. Guilty. 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 Guilty.
That's 6. Yeah.
Please, we're not done yet. Guilty. 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 Not guilty. And guilty.
How do you like that?
Who was it? I think we all have a right to know.
What idiot changed their vote?
Is that any way to talk about a man's life?
Whose life are you talking about? The life of the dead man or the life of a murderer?
Who? I want to know.
So do I.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
Nobody looked while we did it, but now I want to know.
A secret ballot. On this point, we all agree, yes? If the individual wishes for it to remain a secret...
What do you mean? There are no secrets in here. I know who it was. What's the matter with you? You come in here and you vote guilty and then let this slick preacher tear your heart out with stories about a poor little kid who just couldn't help but becoming a murderer. Then you change your vote. If that isn't the most sickening...
Now hold it.
I agree with you that the kid is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it. Be fair. That's what I've been saying. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales.
Now just a minute.
Now you listen to me.
The woman's trying to talk.
Please, I have something I would like to say here. I have always been of the belief that people are entitled to hold unpopular opinions in this country. That is one of the reasons why I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Do you disagree with us?
Usually I would. In this one case, I agree with you. But the point I wish to make is that in my own country, I am ashamed to say...
Oh, no. What? Do we have to sit and listen to the whole history of your country?
It is always wise to bear in mind what has happened in other countries, where people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the facts.
Yes, let's stick to the facts. So, why did you change your vote?
Yes, I'd like to know.
I want to know too. You haven't told us yet. Why do you think I did change my vote?
Because I do, so go on.
Come on,
Tell
give
us.
us the reasons.
The lady's got nothing to tell you. She didn't change her vote. I did.
See, I was going to tell you, but you were just so sure of yourself. Sorry. Okay, now.
Perhaps you'd like to know why.
Let me tell you why that kid's.
Hold on, the man wants to talk.
Thank you. This man here stood up for what he believed in. It takes a lot of courage to stand up for what you believe in, regardless of how strongly you believe in it. Now, the man rallied for our support. He bargained for it. And I gave it to him. Son, I want to hear what you got to say. The vote is 10-2.
Okay, the speech is over now, let's go on.
If there was anything going in that kid's favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're grasping at straws.
As guilty as they get. Nah, that's a kid, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out. But he'll come around. He's got to, and fundamentally, he's a very reasonable man.
I suppose.
They have not presented one real fact yet that backs up a not guilty verdict.
That's hard, you know.
It's very hard, and what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean anyway?
I mean, what's a reasonable doubt?
Exactly! When life is at stake, what is reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. If you don't, everyone would start knifing people.
Not much doubt here.
Two men think so. I wonder why.
I mean, you do hear stories about innocent men who get sent to jail, even death sometimes, and then years later, something turns up.
You do, but you also hear stories about killers who get turned loose and they kill again. They'll squeeze out on a technicality and they'll kill again.
Listen, honey, now that we've kind of cooled off a bit, why, I didn't mean to get all excited back there and nasty. Well, you know how it is. Nothing personal.
Okay. Look, suppose the kid didn't do it. Who did?
As far as I know, we're supposed to decide whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
Okay. Who else had a motive?
The boy's father was along in his years. Maybe it was an old grudge.
Yeah, remember, it's beyond reasonable doubt. That's what we're after.
Everyone's a lawyer. Supposing you tell us what your reasonable doubts are.
Well, the reasonable doubt is there. It's in my mind. Perhaps you don't understand.
No, I don't.
Wait. In your mind? Like, thoughts? Feelings? What? Wait. Are we talking about our feelings now? What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Look, the old man heard the kid say, "I'm going to kill you," and heard the body falling. 5 seconds after that, saw the kid running out.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right. And let's not forget the woman across the street. She saw the killing. She witnessed it.
Now, if that's not enough for you,
It's not enough for me.
well, what is enough for you?
How'd you like him?
I'd like to know.
Talking to him is like talking into a dead phone.
Look, the woman saw the killing through the windows of a moving elevated train. There were 5 cars, and she saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
What do you got to say about that?
Something doesn't seem to fit.
Stands to reason. you're crazy. Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, perhaps?
Listen, can we get back to the train, please?
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one into the newspaper? They pay $2.
What does that have to do with a man's life? Tell us, why might the old man have lied? You have a right to be heard.
Lend me your pencil. Let's play some tic-tac-toe. We might as well pass the time.
This is not a game!
What's the matter with you?
This is a man's life!
I have a good mind to walk around this table and belt him one.
Hang on, I don't want any fights in here.
Hey, it's okay, it's okay. If you don't mean anything by it, just forget it.
Did you see him? The nerve, the absolute nerve.
Trust me, I know.
Go ahead and sit down. It's okay.
Look, I think we were discussing elevated trains before that.
Yes, we were.
So,
Alright? How long does it take an elevated train going at top speed to reach a given point?
what has that got to do with anything?
How long would it take? Guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
What about you? How long?
About 10 to 12 seconds, maybe.
I'd say that's a pretty fair guess. Anyone else?
I would think about 10 seconds perhaps.
All right. Are we all agreed? 10 seconds? What are you getting at here?
This. An elevated train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. That given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You could almost reach out of that window in the room and touch the elf, right?
That's right. I tried it.
Great, you can touch it. Point.
Another question. How many of you have ever lived near the L tracks?
I've lived close to them.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I lived right by them. When your windows open and the train's going by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can hardly even hear yourself think.
Okay, you can hardly hear yourself think. Get to the point.
The old man downstairs heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
He didn't say it. He screamed it.
He heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you," and then 1 second later, he heard the body fall. That was the testimony, right?
That was the story.
So?
Woman across the street. She looked out her window and saw through the last 2 cars of the elevated train the body fall, right? The last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
An elevated train takes 10 seconds to pass the given point. That's about 2 seconds per car.
2 seconds per car.
Meaning that the train had to have been going past the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, maybe more, before the body fell, according to the testimony of the woman. That means that the old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," while the front of the L train was roaring past his nose. It is not possible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure he could have heard it.
With the L train going by.
He said the kid yelled it out.
The train makes a lot of noise.
It's enough for me.
It's enough for me too.
Anyone else?
Look, are you calling that man a liar?
Something doesn't seem to fit.
Please, give me one good reason as to why the old man would lie.
Well, I don't think the old man lied. The reason is, while we were seated, I looked at him quite a while, and I noticed a tear in the seam of his jacket right under his arm. An old man with a torn jacket. I think I know him better than anybody in here. An old, insignificant nobody for 75 years. no one recognizing him. A man like that needs to be recognized at least once. Maybe his name in the newspaper. A man like that needs to be seen. This is very important, I think.
I think we understand now. Thank you.
Look, if you want to admit you're a liar, it's okay by me.
I am not lying.
What do you know about it?
I know from experience.
What?
That's the most fantastic story I ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that?
I didn't make anything up. You best believe the old man simply made himself believe that he heard the boy and recognized his face.
You must be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
Listen, give him a chance. Thank you.
So what do you know about it?
I know this because I am that old man.
Thank you. Sure, it took a lot of courage for you.
So, if you want to admit you're a liar, it's okay.
He did not say he was a liar. That's too much.
Didn't you just admit you're a liar?
Please, he was explaining to us the circumstances.
A liar is a liar, that's all there is to it.
He was just explaining to us so that we might understand why the old man might have lied. There is a difference.
Please, we have our job and our duty here.
Yes, let's do it.
Cough drops? Anyone?
No, thank you.
I'll take one. Thank you.
Okay, are we done with this now? Let's continue.
I think we've covered it.
I also think they've covered it. Got anything else to say?
I mean, the boy did say, I am going to kill you.
Thank you. I've been saying that.
All right. Question. This phrase, I'm going to kill you. How many times has each of you used it? Probably hundreds. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm gonna murder you. Or, come on, Rocky, kill him. This phrase, it's so common, we use it every day. It doesn't really mean that we're actually going to kill someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
Look, anyone says a thing like that, I believe him. Listen, the phrase was, I'm going to kill you, and the kid screamed it out at the top of his lungs.
That's the way I understood it.
They mean it.
It's also how they said it.
All right. Well, do you really think that the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood could hear it? I don't. He's much too bright for that.
Right? No, he's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
The boy is clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote.
I think there's a doubt.
Where? What is the doubt?
Come on, give us your reasons.
Well, there's the knife. And, I mean, there's the old man, too.
He taught you into believing a fairy tale.
No, it's the old man. Maybe he did lie. And maybe he didn't. And maybe he didn't even like the kid.
Well, if this isn't the end,
I believe that there is a reasonable doubt.
What are you basing that off of? Stories that this guy made up? Have you heard what he's been saying? He could write for Amazing Detectives Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Come on, guys. The kid had a lawyer, right? Why didn't the lawyer bring this up in court?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
You're pulling stories out of thin air. So we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, go to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing?
That's the story.
And the old man swore to this. Yes, he swore to this. All because he wanted to be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, skipped, hopped. He got there. What's the difference?
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He went. He said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was the old man's bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere. Are we to send the boy off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't. Miss Foreman, I'd like to see the diagram of the apartment again.
Wait, I have another idea. Why don't we just go back in court, restart the whole case, just so we can get the facts right? Yeah.
I'm sorry. The old man's apartment is down the hall somewhere. Do you know? Do you know exactly where it is? Please! A man's life is at stake. Do you know? Miss Foreman.
I heard you.
What's this one for? How come you're the only one in this room who wants the exhibits all the time?
Are we going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found?
No. We're going to find out how it's possible that this old man who's had 2 strokes in the last 3 years and walks using a pair of canes can get to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of thing.
He was very positive on 15.
He's old. You saw that. He was confused half the time. How can he be positive about anything? Well, you know.
No, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Is this what you wanted?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, it's a job.
Want this?
Yeah, thank you.
Do me a favor. Pick me up when this is over.
Look, I've started that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested.
Go ahead.
Alright. Is everyone settled? Alright, this is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment was directly beneath this and exactly the same. Now, here are the L tracks. Here's the bedroom, another bedroom, bathroom, the kitchen, living room. Here's the hallway. Here's the front door of the apartment. And here are the steps. Now, the old man was in this bedroom when he heard the sound. He says he got up, went into the hall, down the hall, opened his front door, just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's the story.
That's what happened.
In 15 seconds.
Correct.
Alright. Now, the bedroom. His bed's next to the window. It's about 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The hallway is 43 feet, 6 inches. Now, what y'all are trying to tell me is that this old man got out of bed, got his cane, walked 12 feet to his bedroom door, opened it, walked down the hall another 43 feet, opened that door, saw the boy running down the stairs?
You know it's possible.
He would have been in a hurry. He heard a scream.
He could only move very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair.
You're making it sound like a long walk. It's not.
For an old man with 2 canes, you bet your sweet caboose that's an old walk.
I don't see why he couldn't have done it.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna try this. Let's see how long it really took me.
crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if we could see it. This is an important point.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let him do it. Exactly. I don't see any harm in it. Is it foolish? Absolutely. But let him do it.
Well, this is about 12 feet, the length of the bedroom. Can someone hand me a chair? Thank you. Let's make this the bedroom door. Now, how far would you say it is from here to the door at the end of this room?
I'd say it was about 20 feet.
Yeah.
20 feet close enough. So from this to that door and back, that's about 40 feet. That's closer than the distance the old man would have had to travel, right?
That's right.
Huh.
Hey, look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
We can't stop him.
That's right, we can't.
Do you mind if I try it? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Does anyone have a watch with a second hand?
Yes, I have.
Need someone to stamp their foot. That's how I'll know when to start. That'll be the sound of the body falling.
Just wait for the hand to reach 60. And...
Speed it up. You are twice as fast as that.
This is, I think, even more quickly than the old man in the courtroom could walk.
No, it isn't.
If you want me to go faster, I can.
Speed it up.
All right, stop!
Right. 5, 10, 15, 30, 35, 39 seconds.
That can't be.
Now that's interesting.
39 seconds!
9 seconds. Now, that old cripple swore on his oath that it was 50.
39 seconds. 39!
Far be it for me calling anyone a liar, but 39 seconds. Why, that's
Quite
quite
the
a
discrepancy.
He may have been slightly off as to the speed at which the old cripple could move at, what, 24 whole seconds? Well, it's right in front of you.
I'm willing to bet that the old man heard the sound. He tried to get to the front door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed that it was the boy.
Assumed?
Now you people listen to me. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell him. You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you make up these wild stories, and you got these soft-hearted old ladies listening to you. Well, I'm not. I'm sick of you. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers.
Our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to be the one to pull the switch.
For that kid, you bet I'd pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Shut up!
You're a sadist.
Shut up!
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of any of the facts. You're a beast and you disgust. You don't really mean that you'll kill me, do you?
folks, that is the end of Act 2 and the beginning of intermission. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started whenever you guys are ready.
You folks all right? Heard a little noise.
We're fine. What's wrong? You can take that one if you're at it.
What are you looking at?
I don't see why we all are acting like children.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is a remarkable thing about democracy that we are. What's the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place to decide the guilt or innocence of a man that we have not known before. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons why we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Thank you.
Why do you thank me?
I reckon it's good to be reminded every now and then, no?
Well, anybody got a suggestion? How do you follow that?
I think maybe we should try another vote. Madam Foreman?
That's all right with me. Anyone who doesn't want to vote?
Okay, let's do it.
I want an open ballot. Let's call out our votes. I want to know who stands where.
If that's what you want. Anyone who doesn't want an open ballot. Right, I'll just call you out by your juror numbers. Juror number 2?
You haven't voted.
I vote guilty. Juror number 2.
Not guilty.
3?
Guilty.
4?
Guilty.
5?
Not guilty.
6?
Not guilty.
7?
Guilty.
8?
Not guilty.
9?
Not guilty.
10?
Guilty.
11?
Not guilty.
12?
Guilty.
Vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury.
You know, the crime is being committed right here in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote, and why you changed your vote, and why you changed yours. There are 6 people in here who think we are sending a murderer into the streets. Emotion won't do. Why?
Well, it would seem that the old man did not see the boy run down the stairs. I do not think it likely that he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." Old men dream. And besides, we have the authority of this woman to prove that when someone says they're going to kill, it might not really mean they're going to kill.
Here's an idea. Why don't we take this back into the judge and declare a hung jury?
I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
It's got to be unanimous, and we're never going to convince him.
6.
At first, I was alone. Now 5 others agree. There is a reasonable doubt.
Well, you're never going to convince me that there's a doubt, because I know there isn't no doubt.
If there's a reasonable doubt, I can't see it.
Maybe we are a hung jury. Let's just take it.
We are not going to be a hung jury.
But we are, in this moment, a perfect balance. Let's just take it into the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other people.
You know what? Maybe we should vote.
What do you mean, vote?
Are we a hung jury or are we not?
You mean we vote Yes, we are a hung jury, or no, we are not a hung jury.
That's right.
We cannot even agree on whether or not the window should be open.
Sorry. So you were saying that if 7 or more of us vote yes, that we are a hung jury, then we go into the judge and say we're a hung jury?
And if 7 or more of us vote no, then we continue.
That does not seem right to me.
It's the only solution.
I agree. It's the only way.
Okay. Anyone else disagrees with this?
Let's call out our votes.
Okay, we can do that once more. Let's see. Let's do this at the raise of hands.
No, call it out.
Call it out again? Okay. Juror number 2?
No.
Juror number 3?
Yes.
Juror number 4?
Yes.
Juror number 5?
No.
Juror number 6?
No.
Number 7?
Yes.
8?
No.
9?
No.
10?
Yes.
11?
No.
12?
Yes.
Vote is 6-6.
Oh
We can't even decide if we're a hung jury.
I went along with the majority opinion on this vote, but I didn't agree with voting that way, and I still don't. So I'm changing my vote. I say no, we are not a hung jury. I still think the boy is guilty, but there are things I should like to find out from those who have changed their minds.
Then we aren't a hung jury. We go on.
Good. We go on.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote.
Well, he seems so sure of himself, and he's made a number of good points. While she insults everybody and just gets mad.
Does anger and insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you going to let a murderer loose on the streets because one juror gets angry when they think a murderer is being turned loose?
That's true.
There is a doubt. Where?
I don't think so. Let's take the evidence the woman gave, shall we? The L tracks run right next to the window. L trains, they make a rumbling noise, yes? They screech when they go around corners. So the old man could have heard a scream, which is high-pitched. Please remember, it was a tenement. They have thin walls.
Good, good. That's it, that's it.
And what about the knife? There were no fingerprints found on it. And it is summer. It's hot. So it is possible that somebody had to wipe the fingerprints off.
This is good. You all need to listen to this woman. She's got the goods.
So, it could have taken a murderer a couple of seconds to take out a handkerchief, wipe off the fingerprints, and get down to the place where the old man saw him, or the boy. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a strong point.
Well,
why don't we time it to see?
Wait, just what are we timing?
Yes, let's be exact.
I'm saying the old man may well have been wrong about the amount of time we took him, but right about whom he saw going down the stairs. Now, as we discussed, it was summer, so gloves aren't likely. It could have taken a murderer about 39 seconds to get off a handkerchief, wipe the fingerprints off the knife, and get down to the place where the old man saw him.
might as well. We've reconstructed the old man getting out of bed, so let's reconstruct the actual crime.
Yes, let's reconstruct it the best way we can.
I think the murder could take 30 or 40 seconds at that point.
What do you think? Well, let's do it. Here, you do the stabbing.
No. I'll do the stabbing.
Okay. How about you be the one getting stabbed? You're younger than I am, and don't forget, you take 1 second to fall.
And he was found on his side, his right side. So when you fall, roll on the right side. Now you tell me something. If someone hates another person enough to kill them, don't you think it's reasonable to suppose that the murderer would stare at their victim for a second or two?
divorce yourself from this particular case. It's only human nature.
Sounds reasonable.
Hey, wait a minute. He falls and he lands on his right side. The father did. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting them, even when it's right into the heart. The father would have lied there on the floor for a few seconds, writhing maybe.
That's quite possible. He would have had enough oxygen in his system to last 2 or 3 seconds, I should think.
Would not the father have cried out?
Maybe the kid held his mouth.
Seems likely.
Anybody else got a point to make on that?
This thing about fingerprints. Perhaps if someone walked into my apartment, wiping doorknobs as they went, someone that I knew that hated me, feel a little unnerved about that. So this would have to take place after the murder.
A very good point. You timed the last one. Will you time this one as well?
Of course.
Stomp your foot when you want me to start.
60 and...
I'm gonna kill you!
Stabbed by my own son, dying. Dead.
He would have looked around the apartment for clues. And he would have wiped both doorknobs. Stop!
Okay. 10, 15, 20, 25, 29, 29 and a half seconds exactly.
And whoever did kill the father, and I think it was the boy, he still had to go down an entire hallway and at least 1 flight of stairs.
This gets better and better.
You're discussing a murderer. You don't discuss quality when murder is involved.
So now both times equals each other. The one that you did and the one that we did.
Exactly. Look, now, the old man may well have been wrong about the time, but in light of this demonstration, I think it's quite possible to assume that he did see the boy going down the stairs.
Let's take the old man into consideration. Sure, he wanted to be important, but I think he feels the same way as the rest of us. There's a life at stake.
It may be true that the old man lied in part, but I think that's enough to change my vote again. Guilty.
What about you? What do you think now?
I don't know what I think. I mean, I think I want to talk about it some more. At first I thought guilty, then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty again.
Okay. What about you?
No. There is a real doubt. I am in real doubt.
Now we're beginning to make sense in here.
Vote seems to be 9-3.
Will you stop interrupting me?
My God. What about you? What do you think?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I say guilty. I was right the first time.
You could have waited.
Another question about the old man downstairs. How many of you have ever lived in an apartment building?
I do not know what you are thinking, but I do know what I am thinking.
And that's...
I do not live in a tenement, but it is close, and there is just enough light in the hallway to see the stairs. Nothing more. The light bulbs are very small, and this murder took place in a tenement.
When the police were there, they all were carrying big bulbs around. One even had a flashlight.
Right, we stumbled on the stairs. So, an old man who misjudged the time by 20 seconds, at this point we all have agreed, this same old man looks down the dark hallway of a tenement and recognizes a running figure.
The old man was 100% wrong about the time. It took twice as long as he thought it would.
And so, could he not also be 100% wrong about who he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. You're making that up out of thin air.
We're a hung jury. Let's just be honest about it.
Do you truly feel that there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
Pardon me, but perhaps you do not understand the term reasonable doubt.
Excuse me? Don't understand the term reasonable doubt? Who do you think you are? Look at him. He comes to this country trying to save his life. And before he can even catch his breath, he's trying to tell us how to run the show. The audacity.
Excuse me, but no one here is asking where anyone came from.
I was born right
Or
here.
where your father came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from those who did come running here. Maybe they learned something we don't know. We're not so perfect.
Please, I am used to this. It's all right. Thank you.
It's not all right.
Okay. I apologize. Is that what you want?
That's what I want.
Are we done with this now? All right, does anyone have something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me about the stabbing, the downward angle of it, you know?
Don't tell me we're going over this again. They went over and over it in court.
I know, but I didn't go along with it. The boy is 5'8". The father is 6'2". That's a difference of 6 inches. It's quite an awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone half a foot taller than you.
All right, you're not going to be satisfied until you see it. I'll give a demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay. Now watch closely. I don't want to have to do this again. Is that about 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
That's not funny.
What is the matter with you? It's kind of funny.
No, it's not funny.
What? What's the matter? Nobody's hurt.
No, nobody's hurt.
Well, there's your angle. Down and in. That's how I stabbed a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Take a look at it. Tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Did you ever stab a man before?
I should say not.
Did you?
No, let's not be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Then where do you get all of your information about how it's done?
What do you mean? It's just common sense.
Common sense. Take a look at this. Doesn't it seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for? Wait a minute. What's the matter with me? Hand me the knife. I've seen a lot of knife fights. Switch knives came where the neighborhood where I came from. I used to see them in my backyard, on the front stoop, and even in the vacant lot across the street. Funny, I didn't think of it before. It's almost as if you try to forget these things. Anyways, anyone who has ever used a switch knife before would have never stabbed downward. You don't handle a switch knife like that. You use it underhanded. Anyways.
So, you'd say it's possible that the boy, being an experienced knife fighter, couldn't have made that kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable he could have made the wound, but not if he had any experience with switch knives. And we know he had a lot of experience with them. I don't believe it.
Could you make a point, please?
Perhaps we should just all go home at this point. Getting real sick of this.
I think we should call for another vote.
Really? Because you haven't explained all of this yet. You're just gonna put pieces of evidence out there and not explain it?
All right, then let's put it all together.
This should be good.
Let him do it.
Let's hear him out. Nothing else to lose at this point.
I'm in advertising. I'm used to bake shots, putting things together. Why don't you take a shot?
All right. I want to ask everyone a question. Is this kid smart or is this kid dumb?
What do you mean?
This kid, on the night of the murder, he does everything he possibly can to associate himself with the switch knife. He buys it the night of the murder and then goes and murders a man, his father. That takes a very stupid kid, wouldn't you say?
I quite agree, he's dumb.
But why would a kid who's an experienced knife fighter, someone who went to school, reform school, for knifing someone, why would he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make with a knife?
I'm not sure I'm understanding where you're going with this.
To murder someone, it must take a great hatred, great emotion. In a trained knife fighter, they would use that knife in that moment as best as they could, as they had trained, underhand. But an inexperienced man would go overhand. But this kid, being smart, makes the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. That kid is a smart kid. Smart enough to wipe away the fingerprints. Perhaps even smart enough to do the killing as the L train is going by in order to cover up the noise. Is the kid smart? Or is the kid dumb?
No, wait a minute.
Well, the lady across the L tracks saw the murder happen. And if she was able to see the murder happen after the L train went past the L tracks, surely there must have been someone on the train who saw the murder.
That is a possibility, but no one that we know of.
Well, it'll be awfully dumb to murder somebody while a train is passing by.
I agree, it would be awfully dumb. That would take a stupid man. A man who is swept away by emotion. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't even know that the train was going by, but whoever did murder the man's father did it as best as they could.
So?
This is a kid who does everything to associate himself with the knife. The night of the murder, he goes out and buys a switch knife. It is a switch knife murder. That takes a dumb kid, but then the moment at the murder, he's smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead all of us to suspect someone else. That's a smart man. But he's also, at that same moment, dumb enough to do the killing as the L train is going by, people looking out of their windows. But then again, he's smart enough to wipe away the fingerprints. That takes a very smart kid. In order for this kid to be guilty, you have to say that he's dumb from about 8 a.m. until midnight. And then at about midnight, he becomes smart for a few seconds. Then he becomes dumb for a few seconds, and smart again, then dumb again. So dumb, in fact, that he can't even come up with a good alibi. To say that this boy is guilty, you have to flip his intelligence like a pancake. There is doubt, doubt, doubt!
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man downstairs, he swore on stand by oath, he insisted that it was 15 seconds. But we all can agree it had to have been at least 40 seconds.
20 to 45.
I'm all sold on reasonable doubt.
So am I.
I wanted more talk, and now I've had it.
I'd like to call for a vote.
All right, another vote has been called. I say the quickest way is a show of hands. Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Anyone else object? No? Okay. All those who vote not guilty, raise your hand. None. All those voting guilty, raise your hand. The vote is 9-3 in favor of not guilty.
Look, I don't understand you people. How can you think this kid is innocent? You know them. You know how they lie that there's no tomorrow. They don't care. And they don't need any big reason to kill someone. They don't have feelings. They don't have thoughts. Yeah, you go. Okay. Anyway, though, someone they just get drunk and bang, someone's lying in the gutter. They don't need any reason. This is how they are. You know this. Yo. Okay. You know what? I don't care. I'm just trying to say my opinions here. No. Okay. Fine. I'll admit there are some decent people. Okay. I'm the first to say that. I've met a couple decent ones, but that's the exception. The rest of them are no good. Not one of them is good. They have no feelings, no value for human life. What are you doing? I am trying to say my piece. Why won't you listen to me? I am trying to say something.
I've had enough! If you open your mouth one more time, I will split your skull!
I'm just trying to say something.
Sit down, all of you, now! I still believe the boy is guilty. And I'm going to tell you why. To me, the most condemning evidence came from the woman across the street who saw the murder take place.
In my opinion, that's the most important testimony.
I agree. Let's go over it, shall we? The woman says that she went to bed around 11 o'clock, yes? Her bed is right next to the window. And when that window is open, she can look through it and see directly into the apartment across the street. She tossed and turned for about an hour until at 12:10, she turned, looked out the window, and saw the boy stab his father. As far as I see, that is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
Frankly, in light of that, I don't see how you can vote for acquittal. Anybody got something to say about that, huh?
Say, what time is it?
I would say about 10 minutes of 6.
You don't suppose they'd let us go and finish this in the morning? I have to help close up the library, and I've got a kid who's sick, so, I think we should.
Not a chance.
Question. When your glasses are off, can't you see the clock?
No, can't. No.
They're a nuisance, aren't they?
Yeah.
What do you do when it's late at night and you want to see what time it is?
Well, I put on my glasses and then I look at the clock.
I wait for the clock to chime. My father got it for me when we married. My husband and I married. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
What about the woman who testified seeing the killing? She wore glasses, didn't she?
Did she? Did she wear glasses?
Of course! The woman wore bifocals! I remember this very clearly.
Oh,
They looked
yes.
quite strong.
Strong bifocals, yes.
So, what do you do when it's late at night? You want to see what time it is. Put on your glasses. So, it's safe to say that you don't wear your glasses in bed, right?
Yes.
So I don't think the old lady would have been wearing her glasses either. And I don't think she would have put them on to glance casually out of the window. She testified that she saw the body fall the instant she looked out of that window, and a split second later, the lights went out. So I don't think she would have had time to put them on then. Maybe she really does think that she saw the boy stab his father, but I say she only saw a blur.
How does he know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. Whoa, what?
There's a doubt.
I think he's guilty.
What about you?
I will always wonder, but there is a reasonable doubt.
I think he's not guilty.
I'm convinced. There is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
11 votes not guilty, 1 guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have a right.
You have a right.
What's the matter with you? You're the lady. You came up with all the arguments. The boy, he's gonna be running loose in the streets. A guilty man. A murderer! You can't turn now.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong often, but I was this once. There is a reasonable doubt in my mind.
You're not gonna intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's gonna be a hung jury, that's it.
Well, there's nothing we can do about that, except hope that maybe, one night, you'll be able to get some sleep.
You're all alone.
Takes a lot of courage to stand alone, don't it?
If it is a hung jury, there will be another trial, and some of us will point out things to the various lawyers.
They're waiting. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
I'm going to pass the proverbial mic to our club president, who's going to say a few words.
For absolutely no reason. Okay, a couple quick thank yous, and we won't keep you. First, the Berrien Historical Society for allowing us to be here. Both the architecture and education departments for their help with this. The Sutton Drama Club for their providing the arts. Campus safety, residents life, the Wexham and their staff, student life and DBA. This is our sponsor, Berrien.
helpful and great resource on this. So yes, we have a part of the town. He's not here. So.